guys, let's do some fan questions.
What's up, Uncle Chael? This is Ryan. I'm coming at you from Afghanistan. My question is about Khabib and St-Peirre. If they actually fought, who do you think would win? Just want to say you rock. I love watching your show. Give a shout out to my CPD brothers, Chicago Police, and Infantry leads the way. Hooah.
Brian, what's going on? I don't know if this shout out was from you to your friends at the Chicago department or if you wanted me to give them a shout out, but now we've both done it. All right. If Khabib fought George St-Peirre, look, there's a lot of moving parts because you have to bring size into it. Okay? I can remember the night that Matt Hughes and Royce Gracie fought. And while the outcome of that fight now we all know, there was talk going into it that I thought was relevant of, look, Matt Hughes is the smallest guy Royce has ever fought. That has to matter for something. Look, if you were to take George St-Peirre and put him in there with Khabib, Khabib would be the smallest guy that George had ever fought. Now, I don't love all the talk on size advantage and size disadvantage. I've always thought it was a little bit silly, but the masses seem to believe that that's a real thing. Okay, great. Then let's do it the masses way. If the masses are right and size does matter, Khabib Nurmagomedov, as good as he is and as talented he is, it would be the smallest man George St-Peirre ever tried to beat up. So you tell me, does size matter? Is that a real thing? Because if it does, and people are happy to say that it does, don't count out George.
You once said, to paraphrase, that flash hates fundamentals, and that's how Frankie Edgar defeated Yair Rodriguez. With Corey Anderson's TKO victory over Johnny Walker, did we just witness that maxim being once again upheld? Thank you.
Well, that's close to what we saw in the Walker fight. Look, when you fight with your hands down and your chin up, for sure, guaranteed you're getting knocked out. Now, I can't guarantee you're getting knocked out tonight. I can't even guarantee you're getting knocked out in the next 3 or 4 years. And if you go watch Roy Jones Jr., he made it 8 years with his chin up and his hands down. But sure enough, he got knocked out. They all do and they all will. We go through our sport, whether it was Anderson or it was Chuck Liddell. If you don't follow the fundamentals, if you do not keep your chin down and your hands up, you're getting knocked out. I think many of us thought that Johnny Walker would take many more fights until he got to that point. And I bought into the hype too. And I think that it's still there. I still think Johnny is something very special. I don't think anything changes because of a couple of minutes of competition. But in the future, for him and anybody else, if you come out and you play that flashy style and you show your chin and you don't lift your hand up, eventually you're going to sleep.
Do you think that anybody, be it Khabib, GSP, or Colby, could get through Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, and Jorge Masvidal back to back?
Okay, I got to make sure I understand the question. Are we talking about in one night? Are we talking about the old school Royce Gracie days and you got to go through those 3 hammers in one evening? No, pretty unlikely. Are you just asking me, could anybody do it and matched up with that schedule? Well, all I could tell you is that would be a very hard schedule. But that weight class is so tough and so competitive that it's iron on iron all the time. And what, Khabib's 28-0 now? 29-0? Something crazy, right? So I would never discount anyone to be able to do that. If we're talking, again, I want to make sure I'm understanding the question. No. Could anybody walk into an alley with those 3 guys and come out? No, they could not. But if you had that on your schedule, I think there's probably been some pretty comparable schedules, and guys have done just fine. But to your point, that'd be asking a lot.
Hey Chael, this is Stephen Dobson from the UK. Do you think Kevin Gastelum should verse Yoel Romero since they're both coming off losses, so then there could be a contender for the middleweight title?
Well, I hadn't thought that until you just said it, but that sure is a fun match, isn't it? You know, I think there's a few big questions, and I think they're more interesting for where does Kelvin go? What should Kelvin do next, okay? Fought for the world championship, great fight, current fight of the year, leading candidate. And then he came in and got surprised against Till, fought great, very close fight. One judge thought he won every round. 2 other judges thought Till, right, it was one of these things where he looked really good, but eventually time ran out and you got to turn to the judges. So where does he go from here? And I don't know that putting one of your top contenders, your current stars, who is going to also be a future star for a meaningful period of time, in there with a 43-year-old is the smartest chess move. At the same time, that's one hell of a unique 43-year-old who's got a very special skill set. And now that you bring up the match, I will admit you've got my attention.
Hello, Uncle Chael. What's up? Richard from Sweden. Alexander Rakic. The guy is 12 and 1. Won 12 in a row. 4 in a row in the UFC. And he's about to face Oezdemir next. I have no idea what no one's talking about this guy. Because if he gets through Oezdemir, I think he's next in line for a title shot. And I'm sure this is the guy to dethrone Jon Jones. What do you think?
Well, good for you for paying attention. I'm with you on this one, though. This guy's not going underneath my radar. Alex is very good. I do think, to your point, should he get the jump on Oezdemir, though, I mean, don't forget that's a former #1 contender. Guy fought Cormier for the world championship within the last couple of years. I think that's a meaningful fight.
Hello from Ireland. Nate Diaz mentioned that when he and Masvidal were talking to each other, the round before the fight was stopped, he mentioned that he heard Jorge responding, but kind of out of breath a bit. I only offer this to you because Jorge himself said he would never gas out at the last 2 rounds. So who do you think is telling the truth?
Oh, so I saw that as well. And I got to tell you, nobody's lying there. Let's say that was exactly the way Nate thought that Nate said something, and when Masvidal responded, he was a little bit out of breath. I got to tell you, there's something totally different about gassing out and breaking, okay? Now, everybody gets tired in a fight, and you're going to get tired as quick as 30 seconds in. Then you got to dig deep, and then as the fight goes on, you got to dig a little deeper and a little bit deeper. Let's say Masvidal had reached exhaustion, but he wasn't ready to give up. He was going to keep swinging. You're having 2 different conversations. And I can also tell you the mere fact that George was able to respond to Nate at all. Have you ever been really tired? You ever done wind sprints or some kind of a long distance run where you're really, really tired? I will ask you, how compelled were you to talk? How compelled were you to use all of your focus of bringing oxygen in and out to try to settle your heart rate and recover as opposed to speaking? So I think the fact that Masvidal was even able to speak at least shows us he was a ways away from his breaking point. Does it mean he was tired and Nate might have identified something? Well, I think they can both be true.
Hey Jill, we always hear that how Tony Ferguson has really sharp elbows. Now I just wanted to ask, is there certain technique that he uses that makes it really dangerous, or it's just physically he has different type of elbows than other people? Thank you.
Okay, 2-part question. First off, yeah, he's just kind of a long guy. Anderson Silva, who had not only sharp elbows, he had really sharp knees. And one thing with Anderson is he was very skinny for the weight class and he was very long. But coming with being skinny made everything more pointed, made everything sharper, right? So his knees were incredible weapons as well as his elbows. Now, try something with me. I'm going to act something out for you. The first foray I ever had into mixed martial arts was in 1995 when I went to the back of Black Belt magazine. I had to send in money to get VHS tapes of the King of the Streets, Marco Huas. But Marco Huas had covered at that time elbows and how to make them sharper. So do this with me. You won't have to get the VHS. Chael will show you. Hold your fan up, make a fist. Now touch this part of your elbow. Now open your hand. Feel how sharp that is? Close your hand. It closes the tendon and the muscle around that bone. Open your hand. Feel how sharp that just got. So one thing that Tony does is he doesn't throw an elbow with a fist. He always opens his hands, and it naturally, as you're feeling, if you tried this at home, naturally makes it sharper.
His cross is like a freight train. He moves just like a dancer. Before you ask a question, he already knows the answer. He's never lost, he cannot fail. And that's the facts of Uncle Chael. Say okay, great, to far and wide. You're welcome here,